Welcome back to Up North at 4. This is our second episode of Our Changing North. I'm here with Adrian Whiteanen. Adrian is a wildlife expert with Wisconsin's Green Fire, and we're in the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest, just east of Park Falls. Welcome to the show, Adrian.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
We're going to talk about wolves today. And wolves are a very emotional topic for some, but let's just start with kind of a historical context for wolves in northern Wisconsin.
Sure. Gray wolves existed in northern Wisconsin through the 1950s. Wisconsin was one of the last places where they occurred in the lower 48 states, but were killed off by the late 1950s. And where we're standing here is some of the last places where we had wolves in the early 1950s. For about 15 years, from 1960 through about 1975, wolves were considered an extinct species in Wisconsin. And then through a combination of the Federal Endangered Species Act and the State Endangered Species Act that provided protection for wolves, those wolves living in Minnesota, where there was a residual population, started to spread out and move back into northwest Wisconsin. And so about 75, 76, the first wolves arrived back in Wisconsin in a very northwestern part of the state, just south of Superior, Duluth. And about 1980, wolves started showing up in this area here where we are in the Chequamegon National Forest. That population initially grew fairly slowly. In the 1990s, it really started taking off. The first DNR count of the wolf population was done in winter of 1979-1980, and 25 wolves were counted that year. I started working with wolves in 1990, and the population had grown to 34 wolves, so it still was a relatively small population. But then it really started taking off in the 1990s and 2000s, and our most recent population count is a population of over 1,000 wolves. Our minimum count of 1,034 wolves to 1,055 wolves in Wisconsin. So this is the first time we've actually had our minimum count over 1,000 animals. So it's the largest populations we've ever recorded in the state.
Emotions, like I mentioned earlier, towards wolves are very high, even as the wolf population kind of regains its former strength. Why is that? Why are people so emotional about wolves?
Well, wolves have a variety of controversies. One is that they're predators, and predators often do have strong opinions. People develop strong opinions toward predators. Wolves sometimes kill the animals that we like. Sometimes they kill deer, and for hunters that may be perceived as competition. Sometimes they kill pets. Those are our companion animals. And sometimes they kill livestock, the animals that we rely on for food. And so sometimes they're in competition with people. And I think over the years, especially our ancestors coming from Europe, having dealt with wolves and having had some of those issues with wolves, had some very strong opinions about wolves when they came to North America. Native Americans in this region that didn't raise livestock had less issues with wolves and just saw them as another hunter on the landscape, and had very strong respect and appreciation of wolves. So it varies amongst the cultures. Many of our European cultures had much more negative attitudes toward wolves, and we carried that attitudes with us as we moved in this country. And with the higher wolf population, there's perception by some hunters that there's less deer out there. There are some farms that do have depredation problems, and we do need more tools to deal with those problems. And occasionally pets do get killed by wolves, and we have to be able to warn people where there are problem packs and be able to control problem wolves getting close to homes where they are attacking livestock and pets.
And I will say the DNR compensates people when their livestock or pets are killed by wolves. And then you mentioned deer earlier. How do wolves help keep the deer population, though, especially with the CWD that's infecting a lot of deer lately?
Yeah, wolves have probably various impacts on the deer population, and there's often concern that with wolves there's not going to be a huntable deer population, and we're seeing very healthy deer populations across northern Wisconsin. So we know even with over 1,000 wolves, we still can have a healthy huntable deer population. It has a culling effect on the population, so animals that are less fit are probably removed from the population. And one of the ways that may benefit us is that wolves are more likely to pick off animals that have chronic wasting disease. There have been some modeling work that suggests that wolves may be a factor that prevents the establishment or reduces the spread of chronic wasting disease. We know from studies of other predators that predators can be very selective. Cougars in Colorado are about 3 to 5 times as likely to pick off deer that are affected by chronic wasting disease than are hunters. And we haven't been able to do that kind of testing on wolves yet because there are very few places where healthy wolf populations overlap with chronic wasting disease. So it seems to be staying staying out of those areas or just starting to gradually move into areas where there's a healthy wolf population. So not that wolves are going to be a panacea for chronic wasting disease, but they certainly are one of the benefits or one of the possible solutions to helping reduce the spread of chronic wasting disease, amongst other things. But wolves are a benefit there, and not really, although they're not a total panacea, they're going to be a benefit.
We learned last time from Ron Eckstein that deer populations will likely get bigger as our climate changes here in the Northwoods. You're going to stay with us, Adrian. We're going to head down the road a little bit, and we're going to learn more about how the climate changing affects wolf populations in northern Wisconsin. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Won't you stay here with me?
Planning an exciting outdoor excursion? You need the app from the weather team you can rely on, the WJFW Weather Watch app, featuring hourly and daily forecasts, high-resolution imagery, and opt-in push alerts to let you know when severe weather approaches. With all these features, you'll know the best days to cast a line or when it will be perfect to explore the wilderness. The WJFW Weather Watch app is available in your app store now. Weather Watch 12, from where you live.
ELM Repair in Edgar is a family-owned and operated full-service diesel repair shop. From pickups to semi-trucks to heavy equipment and RV service. If it runs on diesel, we can repair it. Want more power and better mileage? Our experienced professionals will get your truck running and at peak performance. With a state-of-the-art dyno and fully stocked parts department, we can even come out to you with our 24-hour mobile repair service. ELM is always looking for passionate and talented people to join our team. The Diesel Doctor, have it done right the first time at ELM Repair.
This is a national healthcare alert from the 24/7 Diabetic Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one has diabetes, listen closely. Now, regardless of your age, if you have insurance, you may qualify to receive diabetic testing supplies with little to no out-of-pocket cost. Get free delivery, free information, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers for free. Call the 24/7 Diabetic Health Hotline now for details. Toll free at this number. But wait, there's more. If you call right now, you could get a meter upgrade. In addition, we'll give you a free pair of diabetic socks as our special gift to you. Regardless of your age, if you suffer with diabetes and have insurance, you may qualify to get free delivery of your supplies. Call now. We can help.
Call 800-908-0486. 800-908-0486. That's 800-908-0486. Call now.
Maybe this wildflower will be a magic wand.
Welcome back to Up North at 4. This is still part of Our Changing North. I'm still here with Adrian Weideman with the Wisconsin Screen Fire. And Adrian, before we get into climate change, let's talk about the wolf scat we just found.
Well, wolf scats are their droppings, and that indicates they're using this road as a travel way, and they frequently leave their scats along these roads. As part of it is a marker for other wolves to let them know it's kind of there are no trespassing signs to let other wolves know they're in the area. And something that's becoming more common now in the Northwoods, that wolves were a relatively rare animal not many years ago. Now they're becoming a relatively common mammal in northern Wisconsin. So they're recovering at very good rates.
And we were in a very wooded area before. Now we're in a more open area. Do wolves inhabit both areas?
Wolves do. They're habitat generalists. They are not that picky as to the kind of habitat, but we do find that they do best in forested environments or near forested environments. And here we are in a kind of a barrens habitat that's managed for sharp-tailed grouse, and they still use areas like this, but when it becomes more developed, a lot of farmland, a lot of people living in it, then wolves don't seem to do as well in those areas.
Well, good for wolves that they are a habitat generalist, because this habitat will be changing rapidly in the coming years. Let's talk about the goods and the bads looking forward for wolves and climate change.
Yes, from a wolf standpoint, there's probably not too big of a threat in that higher prey populations of white-tailed deer and turkeys will provide them more food. So that's going to be a benefit to wolves. But on the other hand, with the changing climate, diseases may become more of an issue. Diseases that in the past were less of a factor may become more potent. Most of our wolves in Wisconsin, or many of them, do have Lyme disease, and we've not seen any ill effect on wolf population. But with changing climates, whether the potency of diseases changes, there's that possibility. There's a possibility of some new disease coming in the area that wolves have not adapted to yet.
So we heard also from Ron last time that animals like moose, which are rare here but still present here, they might be moving north. Is there any chance that some more prey of the wolf will be moving north, and that will also move the wolf north?
With the most important prey for wolves here are white-tailed deer, so they can do okay in this area. One important prey for them are snowshoe hares. It's probably the third most important prey for wolves in northern Wisconsin, and with a changing climate, snowshoe hares are likely to decline. So wolves will have to depend more on white-tailed deer and more on beaver and more on turkeys. Their populations are doing okay, so it's probably not going to impact wolf populations to any great extent.
Anything else you'd like to say about wolves in general?
Well, I think that Wisconsin now has a very healthy wolf population. The big questions in the near future will be how we manage this population, and we're hoping the DNR starts a new management process. The last management plan approved in the state is now 21 years old. Our populations have grown extensively since then. We've learned a lot about wolves. We know that we can live on the landscape with wolves and we can coexist with them, but we do need to use the best available science for managing that wolf population. We hope the state moves ahead with developing a new wolf plan that reflects the current science and is a transparent process that gets all parties involved in deciding how we manage our wolf population.
Got it. Thanks so much for joining me, Adrian.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be right back on Up North at 4.